All right then, one and two and three and boom, and welcome to a new episode of the Trenches series. Today we're not going to talk so much about code, or maybe we are going to talk, well, we're going to talk about a no-code platform. Salut Laurent, how's it going?
Salut Marco, it's going great. Thanks for having me in the show.
Yeah, sure, it's a pleasure. Basically, I took it away already, but what no-code platform are you working on?
So I'm working on a no-code platform called Innoveo Skye. We are a global technology provider. We have proven track record for speeding up market go-to-market strategy
Mhm.
and accelerating digital transformation with our no-code platform Innoveo Skye. We work with insurance industry, financial service, and real estate at the moment. We have delivered more than 500 applications to corporations worldwide.
All right. So just a question. Imagine I'm an insurance broker, basically. So
Mhm.
I could sign up at your no-code platform, and if I wanted to, for example, have, I suppose, let's say some insurance calculator on my website, or what is the use case that I would actually sign up to your no-code platform?
Yeah, I think you made a great description. Basically, insurers have a need to bring online products. There is a shortage of IT people, developer mainly. So the good point about no code is that they can bring such a process with calculation online without using people from the IT department mainly. So this is why we focus on no code, in fact.
All right. So that also means, by the way, that what you're generating with the no-code platform is essentially web applications, I suppose.
Yes, it's a web application. We have also some mobile application, but basically it's web application. Yes.
Right. And I cheated already because I had a look at some of your videos. And I think one of the killer features is essentially that you can generate UIs for your web applications from an Excel file. Is that right?
No, the Excel file is used for the calculation part. In fact, what we identified in the past is that insurer, what they were doing in some processes, in some company, is that they had a mathematician working big formula for the insurance into Excel. Then they would give those specifications to people implementing it generally in C++, and then they
Right.
would convert those things to C++, and then they would deliver the application. So we made it more simple um, by being able to directly use what the mathematician provide to the insurer in Excel and
Right.
using that directly.
It makes sense because I think a lot of businesses are legacy, not just legacy businesses, but I think a lot of workflows are still powered by Excel workflows
Oh, yes.
in a ton of industries. Even though us developers don't like to hear it, but I guess that's the case.
Mhm.
Um, Now, how many, or rather, what programming languages is this written in your no-code platform? What do you
But
use?
yeah, there is two parts. There is the what's called Innoveo Business Canvas,
Hmm.
Sky Business Canvas, and this is my team delivering it. So this is based in .NET, C#8, and WPF at the moment. And then there is Innoveo Skye, which is a runtime that interprets what Business Canvas is delivering to it and making the live rendering of the web application. And this is written in Java.
All right, so .NET on one side, or the .NET world, and the Java side on the other. On the other hand, I see. And in terms of how many applications or deployables are we really talking about? So do you have like one big source repository where your .NET and .java applications live in, or is it different source repositories, or how is that
Uh,
structured?
Yeah, we don't have a monorepo. We had a monorepo really long time ago, which we split. And today we have two repository for that. And in fact, the one that is running the backend, so Innoveo Sky,
Mhm.
this is handled by two teams, the core team and the UI team. And there they have a monorepo for the UI part and the core part. But the business canvas, so it's basically an IDE for non-technical people. This is another repo.
Right. And how many people in total are working on this? You mentioned teams already, but how many teams do you have?
So basically, we have 4 teams, let's say, working on the product. We have the team I'm leading, so the business canvas team. Then we have this core team, the UI team, and then we have product business analysts, which are doing specification and also quality insurance.
Right. I actually forgot to ask your source repositories. Are you using Git or is there something else?
Yes, definitely. This is something I pushed strongly really long time ago, because in fact I'm working partially remote. We had CVS, SVN, and SVN was a pain because I work partially home, but when I'm traveling to work, I had to commute, 2 hours commute, and more than 1 hour by train where I was working. So it was really interesting to have something like Git, and so we made the move really long time ago.
All right, I see. In terms of let's say release cadence or release structure, actually, how often does a new version for your no-code platform come out? I mean, do you do it monthly, or do you do it even on a daily basis, or what does that look like?
Yeah, we have a monthly release cadence.
Right.
At the moment, yeah. Since 2 or 3 years, we do it monthly.
Does that mean, like on a fixed date at the very end of the month, you just say, well, everything that's finished until now, you just release it, or do you have do you plan for basically 4 weeks and then everything gets committed, hopefully also finished, and then it goes live?
Yes, basically let's say on a perfect release, it goes like this. We all know that we are software engineers, so yes, we might have some delay of things that we have not foreseen on the technical side. So we might have like 2 or 3 days of delay at the end, and we have this flexibility to have this kind of delay. But normally it's like this.
All right, I see. And in terms of, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the technicals of your TeamCity build pipelines, actually. What does a build pipeline in your world look like? Okay,
I can more talk about my team pipelines than the one from core, but I can also try to explain a bit core as far as what I know. But so for my team, what we are doing, so as we said, the source code is hosted in Git. In fact, in GitHub. And so we have the TeamCity monitoring the GitHub environment. And when we are working with a feature pull request on a base of a release branch.
Right.
So every time somebody is creating a feature branch and committing to that feature branch, we have TeamCity that is started to run the build. And in terms of the process of the build, for sure, we have like a first step that cleanups the current environment. Then it's .NET, it's resolving the dependencies through NuGet. Then it's compiling the code. Then we have static code analyzing. No, first we have unit tests running. We have more than 35,000 unit tests running.
35,000 unit tests?
Yes.
Massive. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot, yeah. And but it serves us really well because we have very low number of bugs over the years, so it's quite nice. So basically, we have this test running. Then we have code coverage where we use JetBrains.trace, and then we use resharper inspection for static code analysis. And then we have NDepend also, which is also a static analyzing tool where we build up also some specific rule of architecture that we want to verify. When we have this, we verify some of the output of the code coverage, the number of the percentage of code coverage that we want, that we did not break any new rules and so like that.
Right.
If it's the case, for sure we break the build. And when everything is done, then we publish some artifacts to a SharePoint OneDrive. And then we announce we are using Microsoft Teams. We announce in Teams the build status. And what is done also is that TeamCity is publishing to GitHub the status of the build. So basically, we know when we look at a feature branch, we cannot merge it if the build was read, for example. So we get protected from that.
Right, I see. Did I by the way miss integration tests somewhere along the line, or do you also have these?
We have some, but not. It's not the main. We have, let's say, like maybe 10% of integration tests. In fact, what we are doing is that at the end, it's not an application that integrates with. There is no database or thing like that. It's an IDE. So we have few that check on the file system what happens on the file system and things like that, but not much. In the past, we had the test for the UI, and we are talking about integrating this kind of test again.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, well, we tried it in a really long time ago. I think the framework at that time for WPF were not really ready. There was one that was called White, which was quite promising. But what we also have seen is that the evolution of the application that was so fast, and we were not enough people to maintain the UI tests. So we stopped doing it. And at the end, I'm not sure it's bringing too much in our case at the end.
Right, I understand. These just a tiny second more about the tests. These 35,000 unit tests, do they literally run almost instantaneous, or how long do they take to execute?
It takes 7 minutes with code coverage.
7 minutes with code coverage.
Yes.
And how long does the whole pipeline take?
Something like 9 minutes.
Something like 9 minutes. Yes. That is, I think, the record for all these for all the folks I interviewed on this show already, who sometimes have like multiple hour build pipelines still. Right. Interesting.
What we try also, what we did recently is to migrate from Cake build to Nuke. I guess you know Nuke build from one of your colleagues.
Yeah, Matthias. Yeah.
Yes, Matthias. And in fact, what we do not leverage at the moment is to have a distributed build step. So it's one build, it's a full process running. But what we would like to do is to parallelize the run of some unit tests run to speed up the build. But we had not yet the time to investigate on that.
Right, I understand. In terms of infrastructure, I suppose... Well, first of all, that's not so much has to do with the build, but I suppose do you run the nocode platform in the cloud?
Yes.
Right. So does every customer actually get his own machines, or are they shared machines?
No, it's not. It's not a multi-tenant at the moment. It's something that we are seeking for some customer. In fact, what we do, it's multi-cloud. We have multi-cloud possibility, AWS and Azure, but we have some customer also hosting on-premise their solution.
All right. And your build infrastructure, on the other hand, is your build infrastructure like your TeamCity build agents, whatever, is that living in the cloud or partially and also a bit on-premise?
Yes, the one from my team, basically we have the TeamCity server, which is a Linux container. We use the container that you provide. And the two agents that we are using are Windows virtual machine hosted in AWS. And we had to have AWS because we run a WPF application, and you cannot build such a solution on a Linux machine.
Right.
Also, there is some hacks online showing how to do it, but we are not eager to change the Microsoft MS Build script.
Right. Did I understand that correctly? You have two build agents or two build agent types, basically, and more build agents. So how many build agents do you have in total?
In my team, we use only two build agents. Yes.
Right. Okay, I see. In terms of, is there something now? I mean, because test runs, for example, are always a topic for people that they would like to improve. But is there something in your build pipeline where you would say, hey, it would be great if we could somehow improve this still, or are you essentially quite happy with how your builds are being run?
Great question. At the moment, we are, I think last week, there was something we introduced in the past where we had a big project which was spanning multiple release. And at that time, we had lots of dependency injection changing. So we introduced something called an automocker, which we were not super happy because it was abused in the long run. And it's kind of magical thing, and it's not something I really like in the team. But it served us well at that time because the constructor injection was changing a lot. So this recently we have been able, in fact, last week we have been able to merge into our coming release. And so that was already a nice improvement. So we built up the API to make it more clear. Yeah, as far then there is this parallelization of tests. That would be nice. And yeah, we are working some other cleanup, but it's not something that will speed up, but will make the test easier to write. So it's something we constantly work on, in fact.
At the same time, is there something about TeamCity specifically where you would like us to see improve? Anything that we think, hey, that this could be done better, this is something we should have a look at in the next release, maybe?
Yeah. There was something I was waiting for long. Yeah, I think I even opened a ticket for that, which was having the Windows Docker image and for the agent. And in fact, I tried that, and now it seems to work quite nicely on the JetBrains side. But for deploying it in Azure or AWS, what we miss is being able to mount volumes, because we don't want to have a clean state at each restart, but we want to keep some data on the agent. So it's not really something that we are waiting from the TeamCity build engineer, but more from the cloud systems at the moment.
And maybe to finish off, when it comes to deployment time, is the deployment then just literally, we talked about your monthly release cadence and whatnot, is deployment then still just the push of a button, you click and magic happens and then everything is live? Or what does a deployment specifically look like?
Okay, so what I was talking about is a CI, which produces artifacts, and this is like mainly on the feature build is a feature artifact. But when the feature is done, then we merge that in a release candidate branch, and then there is a release candidate build that is run, and then it produces a release candidate artifact. When we are ready about this, then the QA team get an info in Teams. And then they can QA test this new feature. And at the end of a release, we have another Nuke script that is automate that takes the automation to, let's say, 70% of the release build, let's say. Basically creating the Git tag, moving the artifact, renaming it, and a bit more. But there is still state that we can automate more, but it needs a bit of time.
And you also have you just mentioned you had a QA team which does some manual testing, I suppose, some playbooks where they always test the same functionality or something like that.
Yeah, in fact, the QA team is the same team that do the requirements. That's something that is important for us because in both teams, we have the rule that when somebody takes the ownership of a feature, it takes it till the end. So basically, the one that do the spec will QA test the spec, and the one that take the ticket to implement it in dev will take it till it's in prod. So, yeah.
I tell you what, Laurent, thank you very much for that glimpse into your world and into the no-code platform world, rather. Thank you for your time. It was super interesting. Much appreciated.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Thanks for having me.